Morning, and you're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth. And in the morning, where talk is real, truth is in the talk, and there is power in the truth, and the truth will set you free. And that's why we call it Power Talks. Good morning, Melody. Great job on the tap dance, by the way.
Well, you're quite welcome. I'm putting my heart into it. Oh, it's great to be here. Thank you, and thank you for all the wonderful listeners that have been tuning in for these 198 programs.
Shows. Yeah. Todd and Melody didn't know that I took notes. I take notes on every show. Now, I'm not real good at taking notes. And so when they were wanting to know, I can't remember what the question was. I said, well, I'll look it up. And so they said, she's taking notes. Maybe you knew, Todd didn't know. But I keep a sheet on every day, and sometimes the sheet's pretty blank, and sometimes I've got a lot scribbled all over it. And but I count every show. 198 shows today. Of today. This was kind of a moving video that I watched last night, and I had not heard it anywhere else. But then I got in kind of late. My husband had a birthday yesterday. We went out and ate and got in kind of late, and I left the office kind of late because things didn't go well for me yesterday. I was having a bad day in the office. But anyway, this happened 2 days ago, but I had not seen it until last night, and so I had to look it up. But the president had given his speech on May the 15th, which was a couple of days ago, and he called for the death penalty for the criminals who kill police officers. It was Police Officers Memorial. It was an annual memorial service for police officers, and this happened on Tuesday early this week. But what was so special in the video was they commemorated several different officers, and one was the female officer that was killed in New York. And her mother was there, and her mother is 90 years old, and she just was loving on the president. I mean, it was just a very emotional picture. He shook her hand, she hugged him, and then you could see her. She came up behind him, and she's just a little video thing, and she came up behind him and was hugging him. And it was just an emotional picture that mainstream media, I'm sure, didn't pass that around. I saw it on Laura Ingraham last night, and she said, we can't see enough of this picture. And it was just very emotional. This 90-year-old grandma, or not grandmother, she was the mother of the woman that was killed. It was, I'm trying to find it. Mia Sotis Familia was the officer that was killed, and the mother's name is Adriana Valois. She's a black woman. It was a black officer that was ambushed. Basically, she was ambushed and murdered, just to be murdered. And anyway, it was interesting, and it was very emotional. Whether you agree with what the president was saying in his speech or not, it was an emotional picture of someone who finally was getting some recognition for her daughter who lost her life. You know, the officers, I think they feel alone, and the families feel alone, and some of the negativism that's been going on the last several years in this country over our police force. And having some family members that are in law enforcement, I have some sympathy. I know what they go through. Yes, there are always bad people in all occupations, but there are an awful lot of good ones that they put their life on the line every day for the American people, whether you realize that or not. So anyway, it was an emotional picture.
And you know what? Sometimes those that have who are the biggest critics of the police department, when anything happens, they're the first one on the phone dialing. It just amazes me. It's like, if you're so critical of it, why are you? I mean, you see a shadow and you call, and it's just,
Yeah, I figure I need a reason to call. You don't want to call them out unless you absolutely have to. Anyway, I thought it was an emotional picture, and I was kind of like Laura Ingraham. No, we haven't seen enough of that. Getting not necessarily somebody hugging on the president, but just giving tribute to these officers, and particularly the fallen officers that have given up. They gave the ultimate sacrifice. and but she was ambushed. It was definitely a murder. She wasn't. So anyway, that was an emotional picture, and I thought, I don't know if you saw the video, and I didn't really talk about this on the air here or on CSC Talk Radio, but and I looked for it this morning and I couldn't find it. But there was a video that went out. A woman and some others, they were walking down the street. I don't remember what city or what state it was in, but an armed man came up to rob them. Well, she was armed. And she shot, and she winged him, and then she got behind this car and kind of took, took refuge there. And she knew what she was doing. She had the gun pointed at him, and he was taken by surprise. These were a couple of women, and they had some children with them. And but then what I saw was she was a hero. So we're just going to put that right out there. But what bothered me when I watched this video was the car that she stood behind, when she stepped out just a little bit, took off. And then there was other people that were just going back and forth. Nobody was there why couldn't that person in that car just stay put? They could have laid down in the seat or something, but why couldn't they just stay put? Because this was kind of her barricade, she was behind it, and then they took off. So I was kind of watching all the non-heroes as this woman alone took on this guy. And anyway, I didn't know if you had seen that or if anybody else had seen that. I can't remember where it was, and I tried to look it up this morning because I wanted to ask you about that.
No, I have not seen that.
It was a pretty moving, pretty scary situation. But she took, you're not going to hear that because it doesn't meet the narrative, of gun control, because she stopped him. She didn't kill him. I think she just kind of grazed him or winged him a little bit, and then she held him down there with her gun. She held him down until the police got there.
Well, there's a lot of stories where when people carry have protected themselves and other people, but of course those are never discussed, those are never brought into the news, and those stories are never shared. So.
There was another one, and I did never find it either. I saw it kind of pop up yesterday, and I thought, well, more will come out about that because it was supposedly breaking news, but it was some school where an armed school officer or teacher or whatever, I didn't catch what he was or she was, stopped a student with a gun. And they're claiming that he or she was a hero. And like I said, I didn't get to read the story. It was breaking news, and I thought I would see more about it, and I didn't. So I do have a story about, remember the Waffle House, Mr. Shaw, James Shaw, that stopped that. He got a call from the president. And I don't know what he was expecting, but he said it was a little lackluster. He said, but he was still happy that the president called. He said, I do realize he's busy. He says, I do realize he's very busy, and that's going with all that's going on in the world. And like I said, I did not do this for recognition at all, so I do thank him for calling me out of his busy schedule, he said. So this happened back in April. It was a Tennessee Waffle House, and the gentleman, he just said, he said, he's not going to make it easy for him. He said if he wants this kill, he's going to have to work for it. And anyway, he was saying he was a little disappointed. He thought it lackluster. I don't know what he expected, but but he was still grateful that he got a phone call from the president.
Very nice. Very nice.
So yeah, I thought so. The president tries. He gets a lot of slack, but he likes to do that on his own. And I think they do have to tell him.
It's great publicity. It's great publicity. It's
also a nice thing to do. Anyway, the other president's in a little bit of trouble. I didn't know if you'd seen that or not. We'll just kind of talk gossip here in this first segment of the show. President Barack Obama is being sued. It says Chicago nonprofit filed a lawsuit in federal court Monday to block construction of Obama's presidential center, claiming the organizers diverted the center's purpose away from operating as a presidential library. I don't know. Have you seen the construction? Have you seen the picture of what this building's supposed to look like?
Oh, I can only imagine. I have not.
It's crazy. It's a crazy design. It looks like it looks like a kindergarten drew it. Anyway, Protect Our Parks filed the lawsuit in U.S. District Court Monday, seeking to prohibit Chicago city agencies from approving construction on the project in Jackson Park and bar the city from awarding control of the Obama Center's proposed location to Obama Foundation, and this is coming from the Chicago Tribune. The lawsuit states that the Obama Foundation strayed from its original plan to house a federally controlled Obama presidential library and is using public park land for private use. And I don't know if this happened well, it's been, since his presidency. I saw the design and saw what they were doing, and it even said in there he wasn't going to have anything in there at the presidential library, just computers that you could go look it up. So anyway, he's the foundation is being sued there by the parks because they said you're not doing what we expected you to do, and we're not gonna. And it's going to be kind of a. It's going to be kind of a deal where you pay to go in, and so it isn't, it isn't going to be something that it's a presidential library as proposed, and so they're upset with him. And you really ought to do a little search and see what that building was supposed to look like. It's really kind of crazy looking. But then I've seen art.
Is it his library? You said it was. It's
supposed to have been. Yes. Yes. They're in Chicago area.
I saw there was a big deal about his building and so forth, but I didn't see. I didn't see the design of the building. I can only imagine.
It's very abstract. Let me just put it that way. It's very abstract.
Well, yeah. Look at their pictures that they've had. Had painted.
Yeah.
Their oil paintings of him, and so yes, you could see it would be. You would think it would be somewhat abstract.
But they were the last I saw, and it's been a long time since I looked at it. They were using it more. This is the wrong word, but I can't come up with the right one, like an amusement park. They were kind of using it for, it wasn't going to be at all what they proposed it to be. And so they were kind of sneaking one in, and the Park Service that had granted them the property is now saying, nope, you're not doing what you said you were going to do, so we're not going to give it to you. So they're suing.
It kind of looks like a square pyramid.
Yeah, it's really strange looking.
It looks like a square pyramid. It's got big stones. There's no windows.
And we could get over that, but it's not really a presidential library per se, as what he had said it would go. You already did the Google search. You did good. Or whatever search you used.
Yeah. It's a very bizarre looking building.
Well, it
looks as evil as those that are building. Anyway, it looks.
Well, he's under fire. We'll see what happens. It's what?
It's doom. It's gloomy. It's very dark. Dark looking. And I don't mean by light. It looks very dark.
I knew what you meant. It is not a pretty building. It will be a challenge to build it. It is that kind of a building, but it's not very pretty. It's not very inviting. Well, moving on, because we're just about out of time for the first segment. The Arnold man, he's upset. The Arnold man is upset at Scott Pruitt. You have to figure out why when we come back. I thought that was pretty good. Come on. Come on. That was my Arnold. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning. The number to call is 717-300-1218. 717-300-1218. When we come back, Melody's going to give me her impersonation of Arnold. We'll be right back.
I am?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Gold and silver is tremendously undervalued. Global demand vastly exceeds mine supply by more than 60% annually. There is little in the financial world more certain than a coming explosion in the prices of gold and silver. The U.S. dollar continues to lose value and respect as the world's reserve currency. Our nation faces challenges on many fronts, and a day doesn't pass without another economist bringing forth warnings of impending economic calamity. There has never been a better time than right now to acquire physical gold and silver. Discount Gold and Silver Trading was founded on the principles of truth and honesty. We believe in providing a quality product, quality service, and most importantly, competitive pricing. We provide all forms of precious metals, including American gold, silver, platinum, and rare investment and circulated coins. Silver bars, rounds, and 90% silver bags are on hand for the silver investor. Gold self-directed IRAs are available. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, that's 1-800-375-4188.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the Scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a reestablished Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning, and Melody was going to do her Arnold for us because she was laughing at my Arnold impersonation.
Oh, you're going to call me on that now? Yeah. We were talking about the Saturday Night Live.
We were.
Do I dare?
You might as well. What do you got to lose?
Oh, I don't know. Let's just move on.
All right. Well, Arnold's upset. The Arnold man is upset. He's very angry with Scott Pruitt because Arnold is he's become quite the environmental activist.
Didn't he just have a heart attack operation, though? I think he was. I think he had another heart.
Well, it must have given him the grumpies because he's really upset when he was tweeting. He's really upset.
People exercise.
We won't be doing any of that pump you up.
Pump you up.
So anyway, he's upset. He says, I'm a simple guy, so I have simple remedy for when people like Pruitt ignore and hide pollution. He says, if you don't have a problem with Americans drinking contaminated drinking water, drink it yourself until you tap out or resign. So he's giving him a death wish until you tap out or resign. Because Pruitt's goal there was to back off on some of these studies that were really not truth. And then they would come up with more regulations and mandates and things for different industries. And Pruitt has blamed partisan witch hunts. You know, he's been under some fire for some of the things that have gone on. But it says the actor and former governor of California was apparently very upset over the EPA's decision to block a study that would have set stricter rules for chemicals in drinking water. they never talk about the, dare we even say it, the fluoride that's in all the drinking water. They never talk about that contamination. But this is far from the first time the Terminator star has attacked Pruitt. So apparently he's been angry with Pruitt for a while. So he's giving him a death wish or a resignation wish. And they are going after Pruitt, and I'm not going to defend everything Pruitt has done or how he's run the department, but he is doing what the president put him in there to do, and that's to kind of cut back and watch off, some of these regulations and these studies. We pay big tax dollars for these studies, and then we pay big fines later, or big whatever you call it, permits and whatever we pay with the stricter mandates and regulations in the industries across this nation. And there is no proof that it makes anything better. And so we don't want dirty drinking water, Arnold, but you need to get a grip. You just need to get a grip. But the Arnold man was very upset.
Well, this came out, and it's been discussed in all the programs and so forth, where Mueller has said that it wouldn't indict Trump. This is according to Rudy Giuliani. The special counsel's office has told the White House it would be bound by Justice Department policy against indicting a sitting president. The Trump lawyer and former New York mayor tells Fox, this is coming from Rudy Giuliani. My question is, what's the point of the investigation then? Certainly they have found, there have been, 4 or 5 who've been indicted and, pleaded guilty and so forth. So, something has come out of that investigation. But why would you bother to continue if you can't indict the sitting president? Well, I'm not saying that they should. I'm just saying it's just, what's the point?
But is that a play on words? Because he can't indict him anyway. The only ones that can go after the president is Congress.
Right.
So even if he finds something out worthy of indictment, he's not the one who can do it. It has to be Congress. Am I correct on that? That's been my understanding in the last couple of weeks, listening to all these lawyers and their talk.
Yeah, and you know what? You'd think it would be really just so cut and dry. I mean, how complicated should it be? You either can or you can't. And it's either up to Congress or it isn't. Or instead of indictment, you get the impeachment, and then you indict when he's out of office. So, but it should be cut and dry. But, of course, when you bring in all these different attorneys, the legalese that, try to define what it is, I guess this is where all the confusion comes in. So
depends on what it means or means.
Yeah. So, it's just, it's just more distractions when there are other things that are going on, and certainly some major things going on. So, there's something else that caught my attention. The U.S. has spent as much as $2.8 trillion on the fight against terrorism since 9/11. And this came out on the Stimson Center. It's a think tank, and said that the figure included spending on the wars in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria, in addition to homeland security efforts and overseas programs. Spending on counterterrorism reached a peak of $260 billion in 2008. Accounting for more than a fifth of the government's discretionary income or discretionary budget. Let's see if they found a variety of weaknesses and definitions again, tracking and consistencies that limit accuracy. So if they're saying, just like any government number, if it's $2.8 trillion, just double it. And you'll get a more accurate number because of all of these weaknesses and definitions and tracking and consistencies when anytime you deal with government numbers and accuracies. As we note with all the financial reports that are produced on a monthly basis, if they don't like the end number, well, let's change the equation to get there and to make sure that we get the number that we want, so we can continue the illusion that all is fine and dandy. And Anyway, I just found that was kind of interesting. Those are big numbers, and again, you may as well double it, to get the true number. And a lot of those wars with Iraq and everything was all off budget. So, and plus, plus the trillions of dollars, the billions of dollars that go missing. I'm sure they're not included in those numbers.
How do you lose that much money?
Exactly.
How do you lose it? I mean, yeah. We have Joe from Arkansas holding on. Joe, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. It's nice. It's cooled off a little bit. We seem to be getting a touch of blackberry winter this morning. How are you all?
I'm doing good.
Great.
Doing real good.
All right.
What's on your mind?
All right. Well, what's on my mind is I wanted to comment on the first story you brought up today about Trump supporting a special death penalty for people that kill police officers. And that sounds like something I disagree with Trump on. This sounds to me like the conservative version of hate crimes. The left-wingers want to make it a especially serious crime if a white person commits a crime against a black person or a Chinese person or a Mexican person, to make them a specially protected, specially privileged class of people. And then now it sounds like the conservatives have the same idea, except that their version of this making a special class of people that committing a crime against them is more serious than committing a crime against somebody else. They single out police officers to be a special class of people here. And so, sure, yeah, police officers, they're absolutely very important, very necessary if they do their job right. But so are plenty of other people. Truck drivers are absolutely important and necessary if they do their job right. Farmers are, people that clean clothes are, electricians are, construction workers are, mothers are, everybody that does their job right, is very important and necessary to society. So I don't think that police should be singled out as a specially protected class of people that committing a crime against them is more serious than committing a crime against somebody else. Basically, I think the real American way to do this would be to leave it to the jury. The jury, ordinary people on the jury, they have the best sense of what's justice in a case when they hear all the facts. So make sure that the jury hears all the facts of the case and let them decide what's the appropriate punishment, what's the best way to get real justice in the case. And that's what I think would be the real American way to handle it, to do it right.
Well, I live in a state where we still have the death penalty, so it wouldn't just be a police officer because we still have the death penalty for others. And I agree with you to a point. At the same time, these officers in the last several years, this officer was ambushed. She was picked out only because she was wearing blue, and she was a black woman. She wasn't a white woman in the blue. She wasn't a white man. She wasn't a white male. She was a female black officer, and she was ambushed and shot. And some of them have been that here lately. So I kind of agree with you, but not 100%. But again, I'm for the death penalty. I live in a state that still has the death penalty for those who commit heinous crimes. And I think if you're stalking and taking down a person because of who they are, whether it's a mother or a police officer, I think you've thought it well. You've thought it through, and you deserve the death penalty if you've been doing such things. But that's just me. So,
and the difference let me just say this: the difference between the police officers and the truckers and the housewives and so forth is they do put their life on the line. On the other hand, they're aware that they do. They make that choice. True. It is a decision. Just like those who sign up for the military. They might think that, it's relatively peaceful out there and, they can go in, get their education and so forth and probably don't have to worry about being sent over to some of these other places and whatnot. And if they do, and that's their choice. And so it's kind of two different ways of viewing it. And I too am for the death penalty. And if we used it a little more often, perhaps our major crimes would be a little less.
I agree. Well, you were going to say something, Joe.
Well, yeah. In the case that you brought up, Beth Ann, it sounds like very possibly, the person that killed that particular police officer might have been influenced by some of these left-wingers that are advocating, that are bad-mouthing the police all the time and stirring up as much hate and resentment against the police as they can and encouraging the killing of police. And if it could be proved that this person was influenced by some group like Black Lives Matter or some other left-wing group that's doing that kind of thing, then I think those people, there's people involved in those groups, they should be brought in and they should be charged too as accessories and accomplices, to that murder. They shouldn't get off scot-free if they're deliberately trying to egg other people on, to kill police.
The one who committed this particular murder, I guess he had all kinds of derogatory things on his Facebook page about killing cops. And, so he definitely was out just to do that. And, I don't 100% agree and I don't 100% disagree with you because I think every life matters. And yes, they know that they're getting into a dangerous situation, but it takes a special kind of person to do what they do. Just knowing the family members that I have, that are in that, it takes a special kind of person, and they do put their life on the line, and they don't get a lot of respect these days. Used to be you respected the uniform, and these days they don't, and especially in the last, 10 years or more, where I don't even like the term cop. And I don't guess it's derogatory anymore, but I used to consider that kind of a slang that wasn't necessarily a kind one. And so anyway, I believe in the death penalty, but there's a lot of states that don't have it. And I think that's the only reason the president was saying that is because some of these hate groups are specifying to go after them. And, if you're going to just go after somebody because they're in uniform, you shouldn't get to slap on the wrist, that's for sure. And I don't think we should feed them for the rest of their lives in prison. So anyway, appreciate the comment, Joe. Thank you.
Thanks.
I have something that I think might trigger your funny bone. I don't know. It triggered mine. I had to laugh at it when I saw this last night. The ex-San Francisco mayor, Willie Brown, is suggesting that the Democrat Party should consider Governor Brown for the 2020 presidential run. Now, Governor Brown is no more. He's not a spring chicken. Of course, President Trump's not a spring chicken, but I think Governor Brown is in his 80s or will be in his 80s by that time. And anyway, I said, well, let's just let him do it. And I said, why can't he have Pelosi as his VP? So I think that'd be kind of comical. He said, unless they find some phenomenon like they did in Barack Obama, he thinks that they really ought to consider Governor Brown for the presidential run for the Democrat Party.
Good grief.
I know, that's what I thought. Is like, oh my gosh.
Maybe they're getting the fumes from Hawaii. Volcanic eruption.
Watching those videos is just, oh my goodness, something else to watch.
And you don't hear any reporting on that.
Very little.
You have to dig for it to find out what's going on. And they're still having major issues, and it can continue for weeks. And so everybody is focused on the wedding this weekend.
I'm not.
I'm not either. It's like, good grief.
Oh, I know some when the other royal weddings took place. I mean, their life stopped. Oh, I've got to watch the wedding. I've got to see this, and they stayed up late. They did a show about that on The Middle, where she was watching the wedding, and then the TV messed up, and she was so upset. She'd bought a commemorative plate, and she'd done this and done that. It was like, oh my gosh. I guess I'm too wrapped up in the now to get too concerned about a royal wedding. I'll look at the pictures later, but I'm not going to sit and watch it.
The only picture that I'll want to see is her dress. That's it.
Well, of course. And her shoes. And her shoes.
Maybe how her hair was done, but, just want to see the dress. It's amazing. I did watch this program. I hate to say it. I just was flipping the channel, and it was on Princess Diana. And when her dress was designed, I mean, they kept it in a vault
Nobody was allowed to see it, huh?
No one was allowed to see it. No one was allowed. The designers, they were interviewing the woman who designed it and produced it. And I mean, I'm not talking some little safe that you get at the Home Depot. I'm talking a massive vault that they kept this dress in, and I mean, it's just like, oh my, you got to be kidding! And Princess Diana's dress, I didn't think was
It wasn't that.
prettiest. Yeah,
no. If I remember, it had the poofy sleeves and.
Yeah, she was swallowed in it. So,
yeah.
But anyway, for you guys out there listening to us talk about wedding,
they're rolling their eyes around.
Yep.
It's all about the dress, guys. It's all about the dress.
Look at the men's tuxes too and their outfits, and let you guys know.
Yeah, it's all about the dress. Come on. Well, this attorney, I kind of wrote on here, Rutrow, he's in trouble. This Avenatti, the Stormy Weathers attorney, he's in a little bit of trouble. He just can't keep his mouth shut. He just goes on and on. He's going to be investigated by the bar. And I guess he threatened a journalist again. It's not the first time. And he thinks he's a big star. So he's in a little bit of trouble, I think, and he's not smart enough to realize he's in trouble. So it's kind of fun to watch him.
Well, you know what? On TV, they're just, the big headlines was, oh, he's been on how many programs and so many days. But the thing of it is, you know what? They're no different. If they were requested on a show, I mean, look at Fox and their repeat analysts and so forth. They're commentators. They're probably on there just as often, and they'd be on any other program if they were asked. So to criticize this guy, yeah, I mean, he is everywhere, and yeah, he has an agenda. I get that. But to criticize him because of all his times on TV when they would do the same thing?
Well, I'm not criticizing him for that. I think he's
I'm not saying you. I'm talking about mainstream media and like Fox News. Yeah,
they have talked about him quite a bit. It is I get a good kick out of them anyway because they'll talk about mainstream media and they show clips from mainstream media's their different segments and stuff. I figured you're giving them free advertising. Anybody here that's not watching them there is constantly going to, we're seeing it anyway, even if we didn't want to. But this guy, he's declared bankruptcy at least once, and he owes lots of money to people, and so some of them are going after him, and I guess he's done some things that are a little bit shady, and so the bar is going after him. How can
they go after him on bankruptcy when we have a president that's filed bankruptcy numerous times?
No, they're not going after him for the bankruptcy.
Oh, I thought you said he filed bankruptcy. Okay.
Well, that was before this. But he owes lots of money to different people. He had some kind of a coffee business or something, and he never paid anybody anything. And but no, he's used some shady.
They're all shady.
Yeah, they all are. That's why we have Tom in Michigan. Hopefully, Tom's not shady. Tom, Tom.
Yes.
Tom, how are you today?
Hi, fine, thanks. I think I heard you say that Donald Trump wants to pass a federal law, a death penalty for killing police officers. And, if that's what it is, my question is where would the jurisdiction come from, the federal jurisdiction? Murder's a state crime, not a federal crime.
True. So that's why I mentioned we already have that in Missouri. We have the death penalty in the state of Missouri.
Has anybody ever done a accounting on these school shootings and mass shootings? Do these take place in non-death penalty states as a general rule? Or I know in Michigan, you can do anything to anybody and not die for it. So I think that's wrong. I think we should have a death penalty, but.
I haven't done that, but I would. That's a good point. We know that they're all in, gun-free zones. They do that. But no, I don't. Haven't
lots
checked into that.
Lots of times, the ones that these shooters, what they do is they'll say if they plead guilty, they'll use the death penalty as for them pleading guilty. They'll take it off the table, and there shouldn't be any negotiations whatsoever for what they've done. And when we talk about people being held accountable, I'm thinking, some of these, they say they have mental illnesses. The father gives the weapons back to, after issues. Well, maybe the accountability needs to be stretched a little bit. All these psychologists.
Well, I'm surprised
who
that
are supposed
it's not,
to be
because
monitoring these people and so forth. But then again, it's a fine line.
Well,
anymore.
Isn't that an accessory to crime? Isn't that like driving the getaway car? If somebody robs the bank and you're sitting out there with the getaway car, you're an accessory to the crime. If they kill somebody, you're an accessory to murder. Isn't that the same thing?
I don't think it's an accessory, but there is a particular term for it, knowing that, perhaps this person was unstable and so forth, and you didn't do anything about it. It's not exactly accessory, but I can't think of the proper term to it.
Well, in Michigan, they've been prosecuting people for, like when they don't have their firearms secured, and there's been kids playing with them and, getting shot. And, people have been getting prosecuted for that in Michigan.
Yeah. So, there's all kinds of crazy stuff they do. They just make more criminals out of people, too. I don't want to see that. I mean, we had that horrible thing take place in Missouri here several years ago where a guy got out. And then this woman, she had her child, and she went into the 7-Eleven or whatever convenience store and got a drink and came out. And this guy got in the car, took off with the child in the car. She's trying to get the child out of the car. The child is getting drugged by this vehicle. This guy still had warrants on him, and nobody caught that. They did get him, but you know what? What they did after that? They made it against the law for you to leave your child in the car while you ran into the convenience store. So, I mean, the woman's going to have to live with that for the rest of her life. I don't think she did anything wrong. She made poor judgment, but I don't think she did anything wrong. And, I've seen people do that, and, they're right there. They're watching the kids, and she ran out as fast as she could. But this guy's the criminal, not her. And so now that's a crime. And so, it goes beyond any kind of sense or reason. But anyway. All right, Tom, appreciate the call. Oh, go ahead. Finish up.
Oh, yeah, there was a woman here in Detroit where she had her firearm in her purse, and she had her purse upstairs, and the kid went up and was going through her purse without permission and shot himself. And they held her up as an example. I thought that was wrong. I mean, the kid should have known better, and accidents happen, but they really threw the book at her.
Well, it depends on the age too, and she should have known better. We're going into a break. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate the call. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning, and we will be.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded. It has been borrowed. It has been purchased. It has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity, invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host, Melody Cedarstrom, right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, 1-800-375-4188. The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on Internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the Internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening. Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
7-300-1218. Melody, I've given all the news there is today. What do you have? I'm always backing her in a corner.
Well, we can go back to the wedding.
What kind of dress are you going to wear? Are you going to dress up when you watch this wedding?
Yeah. Well, a couple of weeks ago, it was the, the horse race, Kentucky Derby, where we wore hats. Yes, yeah.
Did you wear your hat?
This week we'll have to wear,
mock wedding dresses.
Oh, no, here's some financial news. Since I'm the financial lady, here's some financial news. You have mortgage rates are reaching a 7-year high. And, we've seen that 10-year continuing to rise. This is the highest rates for homeowners or new homes since 2011. So certainly the housing market has already been a little strained by the supply and surging prices in homes. The 30-year fixed averaged 4.61% in the week ending May 17th. Today, the mortgage information was provided by Freddie Mac. This was a 6 basis point jump and marked the highest for the popular product since May of 2011. The 15-year fixed was 4.08. That's up 7 basis points. The 5-year Treasury Index hybrid adjustable rates averaged 3.82%, and that was up almost 4%. So it'll be interesting to see what type of impact. And I know the LIBOR, we were talking about the LIBOR rate the other day on the financial survival program, and but for home mortgages and everything like that, there are a lot of loans that are tracked by the LIBOR. That is the world rate that is used in everything, bonds, treasuries, and so forth. But usually the homeowners' rates are fixed more to the 10-year. And that's why we follow the 10-year yield on the treasuries. So, and that was up over 3% for the last couple of days. It'll be interesting to see what type of impact. I think we'll get through the holiday without much impact as far as maybe savings and people cutting back. But July 4th and perhaps the school season, the beginning of school, with people going out buying clothes and all these kinds of things, might be a little more limited this year. So I don't know how they expect to see a 4% GDP growth for this country. But again, we figured we'd see maybe some knee-jerk reactions from the tax reforms and so forth, very similar to the Ronald Reagan tax reform, tax cuts. You had, a year of good economic news, or I shouldn't say good economic news, but better economic news, and then it was into a recession period. And a lot of these economists are predicting recession in 2019, 2018, and perhaps they're basing that time frame on the same thing. You're going to have a little bit of impact from these tax cuts, and then we'll be heading into that recession. So the tax cuts just held the recession off a year.
Well, I thought we were in a recession.
We're getting close to the end of the program, so we have Dave calling from Pennsylvania.
Dave.
Hello. Sorry about that. How are you doing?
Fantastic.
We're good.
Good. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
We can.
Okay.
What's on your mind?
I'm doing all right. I don't feel a little weird going to say this, but if I kind of like to talk about the royal wedding.
Okay. Go ahead.
That's a hot topic.
I'll tell you what. My wife wants to get me up about 5 o'clock to watch it with her. I found out that the wedding itself doesn't start maybe till 7. But she said, no, it starts at 4 o'clock. Everybody gets there at 4 o'clock. You have to get up early. So we kind of compromised on 5, so I guess I'll be making breakfast bright and early.
Is that a.m. or p.m.?
It's like an a.m. Oh, my gosh.
a.m.
And it's going to be about the dress, right, Dave?
That's what she said.
I want to compliment you, Dave, because you're getting up, making breakfast for your wife, and enjoying her day because she's going to enjoy watching the wedding. So kudos to you for being a great husband.
That's good.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I hope you all enjoy it, too.
I'm pretty sure mine wouldn't do that. But he knows I wouldn't get up at 4 o'clock and watch the wedding. I might set a DVR if I wanted to watch it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. It has to be live.
All right. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it. What's that? When is that? Is that Saturday or Sunday?
It's Saturday.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to be busy. They'll have to get married without me.
But, and again, we'll tune in to see what their dresses are like.
Do you know how many attendants she's having?
No, I do not.
How big it's going to be?
You
know nothing? You haven't been following it at all. Well, we should have asked Dave. His wife probably knew.
Dave, have your wife call in and let us know, please.
We're just about out of time.
And let us know, since we're getting close. Well, we have a few minutes left, but
minutes. Yeah, it's a big deal. I mean, people make a big deal out of it. It is. I guess it is. If I was the one getting married, I'd think it was a big deal. But
there is a fascination to the royal family.
It is the royal family.
I'm surprised, and this is my conspiracy theory, but, there is, there is a bloodline, and I didn't think they'd get married. I didn't think they would be allowed to be married, only because of the bloodlines. And, however, now it'll be interesting to see if they have children, if they'll be allowed to have children. And, but Harry, I believe all of William, you have Charles, you have William, and you have their 3 children. They all fall into succession before Harry.
For the crown.
So, for the crown. So, Harry will never have the opportunity. Unless something really weird happens. But and I don't know if that's what they're counting on. But it'll be interesting to see if they have any children. And of course, if William and Kate have another child, then that places them 7th in line. Or so maybe that's what they're counting on. And I guess there was always discussions that perhaps Harry really wasn't. There's all that scuttlebutt of his bloodline is as pure as William's. So that's all important.
It is to them, yes.
It's very important. And so that's why I didn't think the wedding would ever happen. But
well, it hasn't yet. Saturday.
But it is interesting, and it is a big deal, and it is very interesting. You don't know what goes on behind closed doors, the arrangements that are made. Most of these wives are chosen. They don't fall in love. It is a fairy tale. We the Americans, we do like to think it is a fairy tale.
Well, what we were just all about when our famous dancer Grace married into the royal family. We do have Dave back. He must have an answer to our question. Dave.
Hey, this is your wedding reporter calling back in.
Are you trying to weasel out an airline ticket to London?
No, I asked my wife, She said everybody's going to be there. At least 500 people.
500 people.
So.
Do you know how many? But do you know how many they're going to have stand up with them? Attendance in the on the, how many men will be standing up with him? How many women will be standing up?
Probably too many.
Did they decide who's going to walk her down the aisle?
No, her father isn't going to. I heard
He's not going.
No, he's out. He's
out
at the latest report.
And they won't allow her mother. They won't allow her mother.
No, I don't know. We'll have to tune in.
Well, you'll have to call back on Monday and give us a report on the wedding.
Definitely. But and back to real quick on the Queen. You piqued my interest there, Melanie. You know that they're all Druids back there. That's another conversation altogether.
What's that? I didn't hear you.
The Queen, the lines and getting married, that all goes back to hundreds of years, thousands of years back to the Druid era.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Yeah.
Yeah. But I wouldn't be surprised if Arnold was there. That wouldn't surprise me.
Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Arnold Schwarzenegger. Let's just draw some lines here.
All right. We are out of time. Thank you, Dave, for the wedding report. We appreciate that. Well, we'll have to see. I guess it's more than just the dress, Melody. It's all about the bloodline as well. So we'll have to see. I didn't realize her father wasn't going to stand up with her. Didn't realize that he wasn't. Okay. Well, that's interesting.
He's not going, and they don't know whether William will do it or they will not allow her mother. So.
Well, we're out of time.
Yes,
we will be back tomorrow, and it'll be Open Mic Friday. We will see you then. You all have a great rest of the day.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn, the Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host, Melody Cedarstrom, right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, 1-800-375-4188.